Hello, hello. Welcome everybody coming into the chat. If you pop open your chat window, I'm going to keep it super active in here. I'd love to hear from everybody. You can click the little drop down menu and make sure you're messaging to everyone in your little chat so that everyone can read your messages and questions. Unless it's private, of course, you can always private message me and I'll try to keep an eye on those as we're going today. But where in the world is everybody coming in from? Hello, Bradley. Thanks for testing that out. I'm gonna go and give you a little high back right there. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Where are you coming in from? Hey, Caroline. Peachland, British Columbia. Got Denver in the house, New Jersey. Absolutely wonderful. Sedona, Arizona. Beautiful place. Spain, Maine, Sydney, Brighton, Lithuania, DC, Germany, the UK, India, Malaysia. Coming in from London, Ontario, Bonn, Germany. Manchester in Brazil. Hello from Dubai. I'm also in Dubai. Good to see you. Mexico, Cornwall, Texas, Marina del Rey. So beautiful. Ecuador, Saudi Arabia, France, Canada, Romania. Hopefully that's not too nerve-wracking for all the guests on today's call. We got people tuning in from all over the world, and they're going to get to hear some amazing stories. So today's master classy webinar is going to be really fun. It's going to be very community oriented. You're going to get to meet a lot of peers today. You're going to get to meet them at different stages in the journey. I've invited some just incredible people that have all trained in rapid transformational therapy from around the world, and some really interesting people with amazing stories. You'll probably recognize a lot of things in their stories for yourself. And I like to preface something with all presentations, especially when we've got a whole sort of buffet of genius minds in the room that you're going to get to hear from in their stories, which is don't think about so much what they say, but think about what it sparks in you. So they may say things that are different than your journey, but what's kind of happening in your own brain, in your own thoughts, in your own heart as they share these stories? And so the goal is for you to really understand how different RTT therapists can be in the world and the journey that they all go on. But before we get into their journey, I want to invite up our head of curriculum and delivery to just give us an overview and have a short conversation about what the student journey is like that all of these people went through so that you have some context. So when they're telling you their stories and when they're talking about maybe tools and experiences with clients, you have some awareness of what they were all going through. So I'm going to bring Sarah Sheldon up here, who some of you may or may not know, but she's just a wonderful person with a really cool top on. Sarah, are you familiar? There is a Japanese style. Um, it's called yeah, I think it's called shibori. Yeah, have you ever heard of shibori?
I don't know if that's it. No.
So this is way off topic here, but basically what they do is instead of painting, they'll take, like a white tablecloth as an example. I actually have a rug in this style. And instead of painting like blue on the rug over the white, what they actually do is they lay out a mat and they'll put just a bunch of blue and then like cut out layers so that some of it goes blue. It's weird. It's like they're painting by not painting certain parts of it. So it's like it all goes blue, but they mark out certain parts so that the blue doesn't get on it. It's really cool. You guys can all look it up. It's called Shibori. Your top reminds me of that style.
Well,
And
I didn't paint it myself, I have to say.
I would not put it past you though. Also, I love the butterfly necklace, and I've noticed you've been wearing that a lot recently.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it was a present from my son, so that's Spanish, so that's really nice.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, Rashi, I think technically it's like a negative space concept of painting. Super interesting to me. So, Sarah, let's kind of walk everybody through what it's like to train as an RTT therapist and give them an overview of what the experience is like so that when we bring up all these wonderful practitioners from all over the world and share their stories, they have an idea of what they've all been through to get to the point that they're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lovely program for RTT. There's really two main pathways that you could potentially do. You can study online, And that was something that we grew actually when COVID happened, and we developed virtual classrooms as a new way of being able to deliver the course. And a lot of energy and effort went into creating such a wonderful program so that we could actually train people online so that they could go into Zoom sessions like this. They could go into a bigger room and have some of the teaching that way, and then they could go off into breakout rooms and actually practice all the skills that they've been developing and learning. And I know that if you haven't learned in that sort of way, it's a bit mind blowing. People say, well, how could you learn hypnotherapy like that online? But it's really very natural, it's really very easy, and it's just the same really as being in the room with somebody. And so the students really get into that feeling very, very quickly. It's very hands on. So there is that online component. So there's the knowledge part that's really set out nicely through a series of modules that you can work through at your own pace. And then there's these online virtual classrooms as well. And then we have smaller, what we call the tutor group sessions, which are a little bit more intimate. It's still the learning, so we're still taking you through the techniques for learning RTT. You can get to ask questions, you can connect with other students who are at a similar place as you in their training. And then we've got lots of other things in place as well to support you through your journey. So as we go through the course, so we've got a little bit of the virtual classroom content here. So let's have a little look. So if you were learning something in the virtual classroom, you would have something like this. This is one of our companion guides. So you'd be able to have this at the ready, print this off, taking you through. So we take you through a little bit of some of the learning. So for example, there we've got what we call the tools. We've got an outline of all the main tools. So RTT is broken up into at least 16, whether we have more.
At least. Yeah.
Here's what we call our process map. So this is a little wheel that shows you all of those tools. Now you don't necessarily use all of those tools when you're doing an RTT session, but we teach you them all in a very systematic way. And then you have a little bit of learning, then you have a chance to practice those tools. So bit by bit by bit, it's like a little jigsaw puzzle. You're learning a piece, you're putting it into the jigsaw, you're learning the next piece, putting that into the jigsaw, so that by the time you've finished all the online training and the virtual classroom training and the tutor groups, you're really confident in how to use these tools and apply them for different clients and different needs that they have.
Okay, so Sarah, would you say you have, and I know this is like picking a favorite child, but do you have a favorite tool of all the tools?
Oh, that's so hard. That's so hard because they're all so beautifully designed. It's like they're like little pieces of artwork in themselves. I love the detective work. So if you look round, it's just in that orange segment of the circle with the little magnifying glass. The detective work is where you really start to get to find out what's going on with the client. So they come to you, they say, oh, I've got anxiety. I can't go to parties. I find it really hard to get out of the house, talk to people. And so you're talking about it with them beforehand, but it's really what goes on in their client's subconscious mind. What has happened in the past that's really created this anxiety for them? And we can talk about that for days on end on a conscious level, but when we do this detective work, we're getting right deep down into the subconscious where they've created some sort of belief around this. They've had some experiences that they're very emotionally blocked on. And so for me, that's the big bit of the session where it starts to really kick into action, because it's like, okay, now we're really getting to see what's going on, and that's very exciting. But I've got some other favorites as well.
Yeah. And maybe we can geek out about that a little bit. So someone asked a question that I feel like we don't always get a lot of time to answer. So, for everybody here, and I'll put on my gallery view so I can see everybody with their cameras on, to the best of my ability. But what would you say RTT is? And this is probably going to be like a philosophical rabbit hole we're going to go down a little bit. And maybe I'll ask each of the different guests here today that we'll go back and forth on this a little bit of like, what do they think RTT really is and how would they describe it? Because, yeah, usually we go through the tools, we talk about the student journey, but yeah, what do you think?
It's such a broad question, and like you say, everyone's going to have a slightly different take on it, and that really represents the fact that RTT has got so much breadth to it. I mean, in a nutshell, I would say it is a modality that helps transform people's lives. I mean, that's at the very simplest level, that's really what it does. It takes people past their beliefs, it takes people past their limits and their blocks, and enables them to go on and live the lives that they really want.
Amazing. Okay. Um, I'm also going to ask in the chat for everyone here, even if this is your first time and you're just attending right now, I wonder what all of you think RTT is. I'd love to see some answers in the chat. I think I'm going to agree pretty closely with Sarah, actually. Our definitions are maybe more similar, but maybe it's because we talk about this a lot. But it's a technique, and I always go back to Marissa's origin story on this, where it's like when you go to the chiropractor or when you go to the dentist and you have an issue and you want that issue resolved as quickly as possible, RTT was designed to be a form of therapy that could resolve things like that, where you come in, you have a presenting symptom or a problem in your life, and we say, how quickly can we resolve this symptom or at least change the path that you're on so that we're moving away from that symptom as quickly as possible? So it's either gone or you're moving in a new direction from the first session is the goal. And so it's all of these tools, this whole student journey. And I know that sounds like a huge pill to swallow, but it's like, how do you teach thousands of people? How do you equip an army of people in the world that can go out there and make that happen for their clients consistently forever?
Yeah, that is the question, and we have managed to do it. I mean, it's been a process. Marissa's an amazing baby that's grown up, and we've over the course of time, over the years, we've developed that into something that's still got the magic and still a very intuitive process, but it's also a systematic process. So it's been broken down into steps, so it makes it very easy for people to learn. I mean, we get, like you say, we get thousands of students through, we get all these assessments that we do with all the students at the end of the course, and we're always amazed at, like, whoa, they're taking this, they're using it, they know how to apply it, they've understood it contextually, and then they can go off and really use it in quite wonderful ways for people. Yeah.
And we're going to hear a bunch of stories from grads today about how they use it and the different ways. And also, most importantly, and I prepared them for this, the different challenges that they faced getting to the point that they're at, because it's, no path of growth is a linear path. It's never straight uphill. It's never just smooth sailing. So I want to hear about that as well. We've got some really awesome answers in here, Sarah. So um, Pranjali said combination of NLP and hypnotherapy? Question mark. Yes, kind of. Mariam, shortcut to transformation. Love it.
Yeah, great.
Love it. If I had more time, it would have been shorter. That's beautiful. I
I
love
quite
it.
like Julie's
Glad.
rewriting the program. That's a really good one. Succinct and yeah,
Mm,
spot on.
mhm.
Oh, we've got, yeah, Andrea, interrupting negative subconscious programs and replacing them with useful ones. Great answers.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
had
uh,
somebody call it the other day. I really like this one, ER for the heart and the mind. So it's like, you're not just
mm,
messing about, you're not just like having a little bandage, you're going straight into the ER room and we're doing surgery on the heart and the mind.
yeah, I love it. And it ultimately comes down to this idea that everything in your life comes down to your thoughts, your beliefs, and the habits that you have. And those are formed in a lot of different ways. And we all have stories and we all have reasons why we've got good ones and we've got bad ones and everything in between. And RTT is a technique and a tool that people can use to choose new thoughts, new beliefs, and build new habits. So your whole life you've gotten programmed with them due to your environment, due to people, due to parents, due to experiences. And this gives you the ability to choose what you want and the tools to really make that happen, really program the ideal beliefs that you have. And a lot of people might say, like, okay, so you do one session, two sessions, and I know every graduate here is going to give us different stories and things. I don't think there's an end. So while it is meant to create rapid, permanent change, how many times can you level up? How many times do you want to go back and look at something and then go to the next level? Because you only know what 5 feet in front of you really looks like, maybe 10 feet in front of you in life. I'm sure Cindy, who I'm saving for the very end, because I'm sure we're going to have some really great conversation around this, can share some pretty wild examples of her various stages in life because well and you'll hear a lot more about Cindy, but Cindy actually, who's going to be sharing some of her stories, is actually leading our Dubai live training next week. And for those of you that don't know, there's the online component of training that we just talked about. But as an additional that some people do, there's the live in-person training, and Cindy's actually leading the first Dubai training here in like 4 days, which is why I'm in Dubai right now. And she's just got an incredible history and so many stories. So it's going to be really epic listening from person to person. So one more time, I'm just going to share this learner journey map that we have. And there is a lot on this page, and Sarah really gave us an overview of it. But just to give you some context in a visual way, like she was mentioning, of course, like any online course, there's the modules. So there's online modules that go through a variety of things. There's the virtual classrooms, which are my personal favorite things. They're 4-hour deep dives where you're seeing demos, you're practicing. Trainers are coming in the room like Cindy, and they're teaching you how to do better, and they're giving you feedback. You've got the Ask Marisa sessions that she comes in and just answers questions. She does master classes throughout the training program at set points when her schedule allows for it. There's the safeguarding modules to make sure that you're able to deal with people with certain types of challenges. You've got the tutor groups that Sarah and her team run that are amazing and give you deep sessions. Those are about 90 minutes. Is that right, Sarah?
They're an hour actually at the moment. So there's still
Mhm.
we do like looking at case studies. We practice some detective work going into the scenes. We do some role playing. So we really pack it in 1 hour.
Amazing. And then all of that caps off with your practical and your knowledge assessment. So the knowledge assessment, do you want to talk about that real quick, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So two different aspects of the assessment, as Skip just said. So first of all, you do a knowledge. So that's based on questions all around that online learning through the modules and some of those safeguarding issues to make sure that you're practicing really nice and safely. And then you have the what we call the final review. So you get to book that when you're ready, and it's an online session. You bring a client along, and you just run your session as if it's just a regular RTT session. We observe you and we give you feedback on that. So, yeah. There's also some what we call Ask the Teams. So you can just pop on those. They run it nearly every week, and you can come and ask all your questions about the technique. So if you, there's never really a point where you get stuck because if there's questions are popping up, you can just jump on those calls, and the tutors will just help you out with all of that stuff.
Yeah, and this has been evolving a lot every year, every month, really. We're constantly evolving things. So Sarah delivers these practice sessions that happen once a month or
Oh yes,
so,
I forgot
sometimes more
about
often.
those too. Yeah, practice circles. So we run those twice a month. So again, it's another opportunity to come and practice. Some of my guys will come on and we'll just hop between the rooms. You can practice anything you like, and we'll give you some really nice feedback on that. And yeah, we're finding that's really popular actually.
Yeah. And then I run these business workshops, which one person on here I actually met through those business workshops, and you'll get to meet him in just a few minutes, and he's really awesome. And I do those every other week. So I've actually got one tomorrow for anyone who's currently registered in any of the programs. They can come and attend that, and they're super fun. And I pull people up one on one, and we talk about your business, and we talk about where you want to go with everything, and I help you get one step further. So it's pretty exciting. I know, Sarah, you are super busy. Thank you for all the time and your contribution and all the education tips. For everyone that has questions, you can always, digitally stalk Sarah and she can answer them for you. But for now, I know she's got to run. Thank you so much, Sarah.
My
And we'll start
pleasure.
calling up our
Bye
first
everyone.
guests. Thank you, Sarah. So, Sarome, do you want to come up and let's talk a little bit and share your story? So, for How about you give us like the very high level pitch of who you are as a person, and then we'll start talking about your RTT story.
Okay, I wasn't prepared for that question. So I am South Korean, living in United States since, 6 months after high school. And so it's been like 27 years, I think. And I was an accountant for like 20 some years. I was a controller for a tech company. I was miserable. Um, and that's how, and I've made the decision to switch my career to therapist.
So, what was the moment where that happened? So, you said you were in this tech career. You were probably doing big things. I'm sure your friends and family all thought it was amazing. What happened
Yeah.
that kind of brought you to the point where you decided to change?
So I've been thinking what to say, but I can't really pinpoint a moment, but it's like series of like events, right? Like there's like a moment where like I was learning English, trying to decide my major, and I thought, psychology might be interesting because I think that aligned with who I am. But I ended up choosing accounting to please my dad because, I grew up in, South Korea where, you're not worth it. You're not worth it if you're not doctor, lawyer, maybe an accountant. And so that's how I became an accountant. And I was never happy. Like my college friends remember me saying like I hate accounting, and I kept on with it. And then I went through some life challenges like divorce and living in an it's an immigrant, working professional in my second language and things like that. And so I started like conventional therapy, and first couple years I found them helpful because it was new to me, new techniques. But then the next 8 years it just felt like churning hamster wheel. And I've tuned myself into religious guru. There's this monk that I still follow, I adore him, but like his thing is like you just have to let it go. You just have to let it go. And then people would say, like, how to do it. And then he would like half jokingly say, like, buy a taser. And every time you do that habit, you taser yourself. Otherwise, people don't change easily, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, I know this theory of what needs to happen, but nobody would tell me, how to make it happen until I ran into Marisa's master class. And that was a breakthrough. And soon after that, I think algorithm just popped up for the training. And at that point it was like maybe in September or October of 2022, and I had finally quit my job. And I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to do this. And even though the training was during Thanksgiving, I just jumped and did it. And I went to UK, and and the rest is like history. Like there wasn't really a challenge because, and I love the fact that I started with the live without a lot of knowledge. Like I just like rushed to finish like module 2. I don't know if it's the same way, but module 2. And then I went, and
Whoa.
that was really wonderful for me because I did that like boot camp for a week. When I did the like online courses, it was like easy. It was very smooth going. So I didn't really, so I thought that was a good thing for me. Yeah.
Wow. So, for some context, everybody, what she's saying is she signed up for the whole online program, but she also signed up to go to one of our in-person England events. And generally speaking, I tell people you should probably get through your first virtual classroom or two before you attend an in-person event. She's saying the opposite. She loved that she went and did the
Yeah.
in-person event with almost no knowledge. And I know Cindy's laughing right now, and she's like, oh no, oh no,
Oh, don't listen
because
to
she's
it.
like never practiced any of the techniques, but just shows up to the live in-person event, gets the absolute deep dive for 5 days where I mean, for 5 days, and Cindy can talk about it, like you're in it. I mean, you are practicing day in, day out. You're watching Marissa deliver sessions. You've got Q&A, but I mean, you're on the spot and you're having to really, that's incredible that I'm glad you had a great experience with that. And that
Mhm.
just goes to show you like how many different types of students there are and different types of learners. So if you had one tip to give everybody
Mhm.
now where you're at in the journey, someone who is
Mhm.
considering being an RTT therapist, what would you give them as a pro tip?
So, as I've explained it to you, like I'm like barely kicking off my business. I'm like finishing up my website. I'm, signing office share agreement with my friend who's established therapist in the area. I'm talking to my dad and other people in Korea so I can bring RTT to Korean community. But the biggest challenge I think was like being overwhelmed and like not knowing what to do, like determining pricing, for example, like you're like, what is the magic number for me and my, clientele kind of thing. And so I think the advice to myself still and to everyone is like think less and then do more actions because as you take actions, like you'll get more clear, so that would be my advice.
Aw, I love that. And I have one massive takeaway from your story that I haven't heard before that was really inspiring that I just want to highlight
Mhm.
again, which is when you were going through the knowing that you needed to change and that you needed to stop certain things and start new things, but you weren't sure of like really how to make the change happen. Even though you
Mhm.
had heard all that you knew it, like you understood it, but you hadn't had the experience of change. And so what
Mhm.
RTT gave was an experience of being able to let go, but through a process, through a system, rather than just the idea of letting go. And I completely
Yeah.
understand and really resonate with that. So thank you for sharing that story.
Mhm.
Aw, so good to meet you. I hope we get to spend more time together soon. We've got one question in the chat real quick for you, if you're okay with answering it, which is, how did you manage to incorporate the hypnosis into your native language?
Um, I didn't find it unnatural. I just did it in my language. The scripts, I would look at the English script as I do it, because I'm not fluent yet. And so I don't know if I have the best answer to that, but I can think on it and then Chet and I can discuss more if he's like to. I'm open to that.
Awesome. Yeah, wonderful. I can imagine when I look at the way that RTT sessions are structured and that process map that we laid out, as long as you understand the underlying principles of each element,
Yeah.
translating it into the proper culture and the proper form is it can be very different from language to language, but I suppose if you're really competent, shouldn't be too hard.
I am not. And I think you just need to trust yourself, listen to Marisa's, what is it, like phenomenal coach, you know, um, tape before and then just do it.
Like the affirmations of like,
Yeah,
you're
just do it
amazing,
and
you're
it'll
amazing.
come to you. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Saram.
Thank you. Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, thanks. And now I'm going to bring up Athena. So, Athena, here you go. So, why don't you give us the quick elevator pitch of Athena? Oh, wait.
Well,
Quick highlight here, everybody. It's 4:30 a.m. for Athena in Australia right now. So, just like crazy props for Athena showing up today. It's amazing.
thanks, Skip. Yeah, so I'm coming to you from just outside of Sydney in Australia. And I actually used to live in Denmark, and I came across Marissa's work, actually, not through Marissa. I came through her work through two people I knew that had studied RTT. And it was really for me a sign from the universe because I lived in Denmark for 5 years. My partner's Danish, and I was really struggling with um, anxiety and depression, homesickness, as you do when you live away from home. And I had tried a lot of stuff you know, and I was really familiar with meditating. I knew the power of the mind. I knew that your mental capacity is just so powerful. Um, and I was kind of determined to not go down the path of like medication for the anxiety and depression. I was like looking for a lot of different solutions. And I even tried a different type of hypnotherapy. I tried a lot of different therapy modalities like psychologists, and I just wasn't finding the answers. I knew meditation was really powerful at changing your mind, but I couldn't get myself out of these kinds of experiences that I was having. And it was so funny. Within the span of a month, I was kind of getting to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Um, and within the span of a month, I sat next to a girl at a dinner party, and she was an RTT therapist. And then a good friend of mine who would kind of spoken about our mental health struggles, she was also an expat living in Denmark. She had actually gone and done a live back when the live trainings were like 12 days long. And she'd had incredible results, like from this RTT thing. I was like, okay. And this was back in like 2018 when it was still very new. And I was like, okay, the universe is sending me this sign. Like there's these two people that have just gone and studied this. So I ended up trying it, and it was just an amazing therapy for me. And it did shift. It did shift things in such a big way for me. So it took me like a year and a half to kind of go, I need to make some life changes as a mom. I just really wanted to have a job that was flexible, that I could be present with my son. But I also was working marketing before this, and I just knew that I wanted to have a job that had a bit more meaning and a bit more value in people's lives. Like, I've worked in the advertising industry selling things like donuts, and I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. Or lots of different things anyway. So I was like, it's really time for me to do something that actually creates value in the world, because we have such a short amount of time on earth, and I really wanted to do something that helped people instead of just sell. So in the end, it was like a year and a half after I'd had those initial sessions, I'd moved back to Australia because I knew that was what I needed. It gave me that clarity to kind of go, okay, it's time to come home. And then, I attended a live as well. I actually am a little similar to, Saromi, and I think I signed up a month before. I got through maybe 4 or 5 modules, which is on the light side, definitely. But as Saromi said, it was great just to kind of get plunged in that deep end with the live down in Melbourne. I was lucky to kind of do one of the ones where Marisa and the team came out to Australia. That was amazing. Live is incredible. Just seeing it in action, having your questions answered in real time is such a brilliant experience. But so that was at the end of 2019. And I set up shop like really at the beginning of COVID, which was challenging. I kind of had a mix of in-person clients and online. Since then, I've just served people around the world, which is another kind of really fun part of this job. You can do it online. And I actually have worked a little bit with the school behind the scenes in the past. Like there's a lot of opportunities within RTT, and it's just such a cool community. Like I can't speak louder volumes, Some of my best friends are through the RTT community. It's so fun. So
Aw. What
yeah.
would be your pro tip for people that are thinking about going through the journey?
Pro tip. Persevere and practice,
Mhm.
you learn, and Marissa says this too, you learn so much from your clients, and it is a little bit of a self-understanding process, um, or a self-awakening process, because you start seeing assets of yourself within your clients. And I think that's really interesting because you evolve as a person. You're like, okay, maybe my clients like doing something that I sometimes do. Maybe I want to work on that for myself. But yeah, practicing is just crucial. Like it just gives you that confidence to kind of go out there and serve people, but also come at it with a big heart, because at the end of the day, you're just holding space for people, and half of it is actually even just that, like being there for someone else. So yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, I wonder, final question, because it's just been such an inspiring story. How many sessions do you think it took for you to feel really comfortable delivering great sessions?
Well, I think it's interesting because you kind of do all these like little bits and pieces where you practice certain tools through the course. And I think that is so crucial because each of the tools has its little nuances and its little techniques. So it's
Oh,
actually kind of hard to
oh,
say because you're kind of
what's your
like doing
favorite
little,
tool?
you know what? This
Pick a
is a bit
favorite
of a
child.
random one. It's a
Hmm.
real random one because it's not like a real main one, but I really love the healing vortex. I think there's so much power in that. Um, just actually just cleansing your body, like, it's you imagine you're just getting rid of stuff. And it's a bit of a wild card pick because not a lot of people talk about it, but I really like that one. Yeah.
If you were to get like if you were to get like 5 sessions for yourself, what would be the first session you would want personally? Because, and this is just
Like
out of
if I was
curiosity
just
because we
starting
talked
out.
about earlier. No, like right now. So
Oh,
earlier we mentioned like it's sort of an ever-evolving journey. And so even as an RTT therapist, you you get more out of sessions than people who don't understand RTT. Because the more you understand about it, it's actually you get so much more out of the experience. And the more you know, the more it even means to you. So I'm just curious with where you're at on your own personal journey. Do you have
oh,
things that you still work on? Is there like a
oh,
category that you really want to work on?
100%. Um, it's something I talk about a lot. If you follow, yeah, if any of you follow me on Instagram or anything, I do kind of like hop on and I talk about it a lot, is self-love. And I really love doing sessions on self-love for others, but I haven't gotten around to doing one recently for myself. And I think you kind of realize that, you know, doing a session on a particular subject, it has a different meaning this year from like 3 or 4 years ago. Because you're kind of dealing with different things, different themes. Um, I have this huge premise within myself of like you can only love another person as much as you love yourself. And I think the more you expand that love, the more you have empathy, you have more compassion, more understanding. So yeah, I think that's one that I'd like to explore soon. What else? Yeah, I think money blocks is always fascinating. Or just, and when I say money blocks, it's not necessarily money blocks, it's our relationship to money. Yeah. How are we in that relationship to money? Because, yeah, it's not necessarily that I'm blocked to money, but it's like, how am I in that relationship with money? And money and love are super similar because they're both different forms of energy. Um, so I think money is a really interesting one because the more money you can let in, the more love you can get let in, vice versa. Um, yeah, I think they're very linked. So yeah, different
Oh,
aspects. I hope that makes sense.
amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you want to do like a shameless plug here, but I'd love to see your Instagram if you put that in the chat for all of
Oh
us to go
yeah.
and see what you're talking about. That'd be really fun. Uh, so thank you so much, Athena, for sharing.
Oh,
I would
thanks,
say
Skip.
my biggest takeaway now is maybe I need to redefine what I tell people and say maybe you should just dive straight into the live sessions. And, clearly Sarome and Athena, it worked out beautifully for them. So, you know what? Forget doing virtual classrooms. Everyone go at Cindy and her training team with absolutely no experience. You're going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, look, I do think there's huge value in getting through some of the course content because honestly, when you show up and you rock up there, your questions are just that bit better. So yes, you can do it that way, but I would say come as trained, like prepared as you can, because you're just going to get that much more out of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Can I chime
amazing.
in just quickly? Like what resonated to me was what you said, Skip. I think everybody's learning style is so different because like some people doesn't find like live as much as I appreciated it, you know? And so I think everybody just needs to figure it out like what would work best for them.
Yeah, amazing.
Totally.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on so early your time, Athena, and for sharing. I see a lot of people in the comments really loved your story and really found it inspirational. So really
Oh, it's
excited to
such a
share this with
pleasure.
more and more people.
Yeah,
Mm,
I adore
awesome.
RTT. It's such a big part of my life, obviously, but
Mm,
it's changed my life and changed so many people's life that I know. So yeah, it's and the community. You're joining an amazing community of people around the world. It's really fun.
oh, thank you for saying that, Athena. That means a lot to all of us. We work really hard on it.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Athena. Amazing. And the one, the only, Maximilian.
Thank you so much. Hi, Skip. I'm really happy to be here today. And yeah, it's an honor, really.
Yeah, so Max, why don't you hit us with the high level? Who are you in the world? And why don't you tell us about your experience of when you decided RTT was going to be the thing for you? Where were you? What was the reason? What were you doing before?
All right. So before I started with RTT, I was working in fashion and I was working for a big German international fashion brand. And I had a really like great position looking from the outside. I've worked with the fashion shows. I went to New York, I've traveled Europe, and I was really passionate about doing this because it had many amazing parts to it. But after a few years, I've lost my shine and I really realized my heart was not like fulfilled anymore, even though I had all these amazing things. I just felt quite empty inside. And I mean, then I really came to a low point in my life where I just realized I need to reevaluate like what's going on and what I'm doing, and so I mean, this now just touches me actually. So, I mean, I just really needed to change something in my life. And then, I mean, that's what I did. I took some time out and then actually I started to study psychology because I mean, like the human mind, I mean, I was always fascinated by it. And after I think 2 years, 2.5 years of studying at university, and this was during COVID, I also had a lot of online classes. And I just realized, like that's not all there is because I've learned a lot. Like, it would take so long even to figure out and to help people with regular therapy, and everything seems so complicated and unsolvable. And I was really not satisfied with that learning. And like, I mean, I was really actually dissatisfied. And I was like, I mean, I wanted to quit actually studying because I thought, where's the point in learning and studying all of this? And at the same time, it was very focused on the negative parts, and I always felt there needs to be something that's solution oriented. And I also wanted to propel my own personal growth because I've worked through a lot, but I felt, there's just more to come, and I felt always it needs to be possible to make that faster. So I really came across Marisa's teachings online. And I remember I was sitting outside with a friend. It was summer. We were having like ice cream. And then I felt this call really to learn hypnotherapy and especially RTT because it's really this unique method Marisa created, going back to the root cause, really looking like a surgeon, really. And I really also like that picture and just really, yeah, fixing, what needs to be fixed and then moving away where you need to go, where you have a solution and something that builds you up. And so I was really fascinated by it. And I was also a bit into meditation before. So, but I mean, this was a big, big, big decision for me. And I was quite hesitant, to do this because I was in between of like my regular university studying. And in university, we had like 10 minutes where we talked about hypnosis and this different states of mind. So there was actually no part like where we learned about this. So it was also for me a question, is it legit? Is it really something that's real? So I was also doubting it a bit. I was fascinated, but at the same time, I wasn't sure. So, but then I really listened to my heart and I just felt, I felt the calling and I knew I needed to do it, even though I wasn't sure. I went for it. And I mean, I'm so, so happy because I mean, it transformed my life incredibly. And I've helped so many people now. It's incredible. And, now I work with people who went to regular therapy for years and years and years, and they couldn't resolve their issues. And then they come sometimes, just for one session and they resolve their blocks from childhood. And I mean, that's so incredible. And I just love it. It's really it's a blessing. It's really a blessing. And yeah.
Do you remember like the first time that happened with a client, or even maybe with a friend before you were doing like legitimate sessions when you were just practicing? Like the first time that someone came in and had this, lifelong something going on, and then you're like in it, and suddenly they're in hypnosis, and you're like, oh, it's working, it's working. And then they're going through their scenes. I can imagine like that first time you're kind of like freaking out internally as the session is going on. Do you remember when that happened for you?
So what came to my mind, I'll share what just came to my mind. So I had a session actually with my sister, and she has this issue like a chronic disease in her jaw, like in her bone, which like no doctor or anything ever worked, like surgeries. And we did this session and like a surgery, like sort of, but just with the mind, right? And I remember 2 weeks after she sent me this message and she said, Max, I don't recall which side of my jaw actually had an issue. Like she couldn't even remember like which side of the jaw was like infected. And I just recall like this was so like almost unbelievable because she went to doctors, she did all the things, surgeries, and we have so much power with the mind. And it's not just the mind, but it's the connection mind and body that we access in hypnosis. And I think that's what makes it most powerful. It's not just the mind, but also the impact on the body that we access and the healing capabilities we can activate and let go of stored and blocked emotions. And to me, that was like, I think that, I mean, also because obviously she's my sister, this felt just really truly special. Yeah.
Hmm. And what would be your one pro tip that you could give someone that was thinking about going into RTT?
Take a leap of faith and do it because it's going to be so worth it, and it's going to be so worth for your life, and your life will take a path you won't be able to imagine right now in the best possible way, and you can help so many other people along the way. It's just beautiful. And take action, really for me, the biggest part is taking action. Take the first action to commit it, to do it. If you feel the calling in your heart, follow it, do it, and practice, because practice makes progress, builds confidence. And the second pro tip, if I may add, go rather deep into the teachings and the learnings instead of doing another method and another method, really, because this method is incredible as it is, and really practice it over and over again, build your confidence, and you will help so many people and yourself along the way. And I think it's just the best thing that happened to me, and yeah, best decision I ever made, really.
Whoa, amazing pro tips. Thank you so much, Maximilian, for sharing your story and letting us all see that shine that you've got again. So exciting. I'm really excited. Hopefully get to hang out with you a little bit more tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody in the comments, in the chat, if you want to share some love for Max for sharing his story, thank you so much and look forward to hanging out soon. And Heidi, we got Heidi coming in from Estonia, who helped with Marisa's book launch in Estonia, actually. And
Hello.
Heidi, give us a high level. Who are you in the world?
Yes, it's my story goes back to 8 years, and it happened that about this time of the year, very close family member committed suicide. And this was a person I was supporting very much, and I started to look how to support myself and our family during this time of the loss. And so I found Marisa in a very small Facebook group, about 200 people, and she was talking there, sharing her message, and I was very caught on that. So when it happened, like I think it was in October, November, I joined her course, and about I think it took me some months, and actually I could help a very, very close girl in our family who actually was very in loss and grief for losing her dad to suicide, and she went to school a day after our session. So this was my why actually to join Marisa. So I had a business background, so I had my business degree when I was about 21 years old. And so after that, I had a corporate jobs for some years, and then I was home and stay mom for 14 years. And then I found Marisa. So I had a very, 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 very interesting story to share today. And I was very passionate to help people, because I saw that the girl who couldn't go to school for 3 months went one day after the session to school. And yes, and this is really the reason why I joined. And then I saw, okay, actually I have my own stuff as well. So the more I practiced with my practice buddies in this online course, the more actually I realized I had things to heal myself, like I was sexually abused as a child, and I had stuff with my parents, and neglect, and also I was a workaholic, because I need to prove myself, and always thought that I'm not good enough. So in 1 year after, just when I graduated the first year already, I made 6 figures in my business. And my main challenge was actually how to keep my work balance and my private life in balance, because I'm a mom of 4 kids. At the time I joined Marisa's course, my youngest was just went to kindergarten. She was 2 years old. So just managing all my marriage and family life and my business was my main thing, yes, when I started.
Whoa, wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, talk about great problems to have. Congratulations on all that. So I wonder, for you, what was like the defining moment or the big challenge or obstacle within all of that? 'Cause it sounds like there was quite a few there. Was there a certain point where you realized like you needed to work less and charge more or prioritize your time differently? What happened?
Yes, actually, when I joined the course, I actually this was quite challenging actually to pay for the course because I was not working. I was looking for what to do because one thing I knew, I didn't want to go back to work for someone else because I had 4 kids, and kids were sick sometimes, and you can't really manage everything to go to work. So in just this summer before I joined Marisa, I actually established my own company. So I put the name Heidi Bloomberg International to this name, and some months later I manifested the course with Marisa, and was very lucky to be in the bid round. So it was nearly 8 years ago, and now my business has made over, I think it's over 1.5 million euros in sales. And we have been top training companies in Estonia for last 3 years, one of the top training companies. Yes. And I have been,
Wow.
yes, I have had 3 Amazon bestseller books, and now I'm writing some more books. So my passion is really helping people through my own story. And of course, I have served like thousands of done RTT and RTC sessions.
Holy cow. What would be I think everyone like tune in really closely here. What's your pro tip for anyone thinking about becoming an RTT therapist?
Yes, after being in Marisa's community for over 7 years, I've seen so many people joining the courses, and some of them have success stories, and others are just giving up. And the main tip is practice, practice, practice. Yeah, for me, after in the first year, I had a burnout in my business, and I had this big spiritual awakening happening. And I still am a highly sensitive person, so I can't work full time. I now work only 3 days a week for 6 years. So this was my thing. Actually, I can't take like session after session and session every day because I can't just handle all those people and the stories, and they're quite challenging sometimes. So my tip is to practice and heal yourself. I have healed my stuff. I love my life. I have. Yesterday we had our 20th wedding anniversary with my husband. So yeah. So yes, marriage was challenging, but every time I need a help, I just schedule my practice lesson with someone from our group, and I love our students, and we help each other. So if you want to heal your life, it's amazing opportunity.
Wow, thank you for sharing so much detail in there, everybody. I feel like might want to go back and watch that on replay because there was so much information from the start to the finish of all of that. Heidi, you're always so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and sharing just a little bit about you. I feel like we'll hear a lot more in the future from you, and for just being so vulnerable too with all the different points along the journey for you. And I see lots of comments in the chat right now going off about you. So thank you for coming on today and sharing. And everybody in the chat, definitely give a bunch of love to Surround Max, Heidi, and Athena as we bring on the final guest for today. I'm so excited. Cindy. So Cindy is the one I've been kind of shouting out throughout it all because she is the lead trainer running the live training in Dubai happening in just 4 days from now. Really, really excited. So Cindy, take us back. What was the moment where you said RTT is going to be my future?
Yeah, well, just a quick little backstory. When I decided to change to do this work to help people, I was in my first NLP course, which I'd heard of when I lived in New York, but I was just starting out, didn't have the money to pay for it. On the very first day, someone said, "Oh, have you ever heard of Marisa Peer?" I was like, "No," because I didn't know anything about this area. But I started reading up on what she was doing. And so I went through the practitioner course in NLP, and then I'd signed up for the master prac. And then there was a live London training coming up. And in those days, there wasn't a choice of doing virtual online. I can't remember if it was 10 or 12 days. So I'm a big fan of get in and do it because that was the only system I knew. And the reason I decided to do it was because while I love NLP tools, I wanted some more structure around something. Like, sure, I could talk with people and I could use these skills, but what I loved about RTT was that I could follow a certain process. Not that it was so rigid that I couldn't play around with it, but it gave me a way in. Plus, you get to the root cause and then you do the recording and all these wonderful things. So I decided that this was going to be, in that type of work, the key thing that I was going to focus on was RTT. And then when I trained, Marisa did a session with me on insomnia. And I'm going to say this, and I've never told this to Marisa, so don't tell her. Maybe I'll tell her someday. But she did the session. I never did listen 21 days to the recording, and it still worked. And she'd ask me, because she did it early on in that 10 or 12-day training, and she'd say, Cindy, how's your sleep going? I was like, yeah, it's absolutely great. And I was thinking, please don't ask me if I've listened to the record. Because the thing was, I'd fall asleep and I'd forget to listen to it. So it still works. Or it did for me, even without
You
listening.
can tell her, you know what, Marissa? It worked so well that I couldn't ever do it.
Yeah, that's right. She'd like that.
Yeah. So then, what was the biggest challenge or obstacle that you faced when you were getting into RTT? Maybe it was during the journey, maybe it was before the journey, or maybe it was when you were already had your business. I'm sure, you've been doing this for a while now that you've had some challenges.
Mm. I think the challenge was with the people that I was working with, because a lot of the people I work with tend to be in finance and banking, um, those kinds of roles, not particularly people that are used to opening up and wanting, and might be a little nervous about doing this kind of work. So for me, it was, how do I introduce this? Plus, I was combining it with coaching, obviously more latterly with rapid transformational coaching, but I was doing coaching before. And the way to get into that was I would talk to them about visualization. So that was the challenge for me. How do I address their concerns? Because if I'd gone in to say, great, we're going to do a hypnotherapy session on this, I don't think they would have been as amenable to working with me.
Absolutely. And then once you've been going through your business, have you, like the others here, done lots of sessions for yourself throughout your journey?
I think this is a critical thing, to always continue having sessions. I'm a big believer in personal development, and it works. So yes, there's people that I swap sessions with. Between that and the coaching, it just makes everything better. So I would recommend that everybody do that, because we all have things that come up and we may not recognize how much they're affecting our life. But if you have something you're thinking about, just get out there, have a session and work with that. And just, as everybody's been talking about tonight, RTT is such an amazing process that you'll just feel so much better, and that will be lifted. And there's always stuff coming up, but why let it hang around?
Hmm. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Maximilian earlier. Do you remember your very first session that you could tell this was going to be a profound transformation in the other person and how it felt to be experiencing that?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure I can pinpoint, because I've been doing it for a while, so I don't know that I can pinpoint that first one, because there's been several. I mean, sometimes I do a session and I think, I'm not sure this is going where I want it to go. And this will be someone that will tell me the most amazing story about their transformation. And other times I think, this is an amazing session, they're getting it, and this is the person that might need more support as we're going along. I think when I know that it's going to work, and I think somebody had asked a question earlier on, the person that you're working with has to want to change. And so I always say to people, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in terms of wanting to get past this? And if someone says I'm a 4 or 5, I won't work with them. And then they get offended. Then they say, but is it something about me? And it's like, no, it's just, you don't want it enough. And I can't make your brain do anything that you don't want to do. So if they're a 9 or a 10, they really want to do it, and they've been trying everything else, I'm thinking, you're the one that's going to benefit the most from this. I don't think that answered your question,
Wow.
but that's what you're
And
getting.
no, it answered that. And I would say even another question. And I'm going to ask you for another one because I know everyone here probably, I hope, wrote down that pro tip of choose the right clients because honestly, that one right there. It's like choose the right client, and then when you have the right client, choose the right thing to work on that they're really motivated to work on. Because to the same extent, the issue that they're coming to you with may not be the 10 out of 10 for them, but they might have another issue that they don't even know they want to work on that is a 10 out of 10 and is something that they're really committed to changing, but they haven't brought it up or don't want to share it for one reason or another. But if there was a pro tip for someone that was thinking about becoming an RTT therapist, and I know that this is kind of cheating because you already gave two right there, what would that one tip be?
Do you know, I would say just go ahead and do it. And I'm going to address this from a different perspective, and that is that it is the only thing that I've studied, and I've spent tens of thousands studying different things when I decided to make a major change in what I'm doing. But it's the only thing where there was so much support from the company. And I've made my investment back 10 times over, if not more, because of all of the opportunities, the like the things that you're doing now, the support that you can get from the community, sharing and swapping sessions with other people. Every now and then we do open it up for people to become trainers. So there's opportunities to do things like that. The company really supports people who go through this. You get so much backing and support. And I've gone through so many other things and none of them have done that. So I don't know what other hesitations might be. You might be concerned you wouldn't know how to do it. But if any of those concerns are around money, I promise you that you will make this back because of the support of the company, but just because of what a wonderful technique it is.
And I'm going to preface that with the same thing that Cindy uses with her clients. I always say, if you're someone who's that 8, 9, 10 of inspired to do this, you'll find so much support. If you're the 4, 3, 2, 1s, you'll probably be like, oh, there's not a lot of support, the program's not good, and that's just because maybe you're not at that point. So if you're someone that's in that upper echelon and you're really committed, because it sounds like Cindy, when you decided this was going to be the journey, you had already been doing NLP, you were committed, and then you found this, and like everyone else's story here, they were all ultra committed to doing this by the time they got started.
Absolutely. I just wanted to help people. So that's why I was searching around because I'd had it with corporate and I knew how miserable everyone was there. So I wanted to learn what I could do to help people get past it. And yes, I think, I still love NLP and I incorporate a lot of NLP with RTT because Marisa also has NLP in there. But it's just, yeah, everything about RTT works. So I'm totally committed to it. And totally
Hmm.
committed to the training.
Cindy,
So if anybody, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to give just a real plug about the training because whether you, like, I think next week, most of our students coming in have just started. One just signed up the other day, so hasn't even looked at anything online. And the thing about the online training is that there's something for everyone. We gradually start, we build on throughout the week. So whether you're just starting and you're still figuring out what RTT means versus someone who's graduated and practicing, the things that we're teaching will help both people. Obviously, the one that's just starting will learn all about it, but it'll be at a pace. You'll be stretched a little bit, but we have fun. And you're just working with other people and you're learning. And if you've graduated, then we've got some advanced things that we bring in that aren't taught in the online course. So you get a little bit extra. It's just a phenomenal experience. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Wow. At the live events, you'll see, for those of you that attend the live events, and Cindy's running one next week, we split people up into experience level. So if there's a group of graduates that are coming, they're going to be grouped up together primarily. And if there's a bunch of people that are just starting out, they'll be grouped up together so that you're not paired with someone who's at a wildly different level of experience with the practice and the work itself. But I think the big takeaway I'm getting from everybody here is practice, practice, practice. So much practice, because ultimately, if you want to help others, if you want to be successful as an RTT therapist, you've got to be really good at RTT. And like we showed you the process map, you don't have to use everything on that map in every session. And as Athena mentioned, you really want to be able to practice like an individual tool, and you maybe just want to get reps on an individual tool and keep doing that. so that eventually when you decide to put them together in different sessions under different circumstances with people, you have a reasonable amount of experience of what could happen when you do upgrading the child, or what could happen when someone starts saying, that's not me, and breaking out into tears because they're realizing why it's been like this, or why they've had the money blocks, or why they haven't loved themselves truly. And you're kind of seeing bits and pieces from everybody's story in here. So thank you so much, Cindy, for sharing all your here. I see lots of comments about it. Everybody in the chat, just go ahead and share your big takeaways and your love for Cindy. And hopefully, for those of you that get to meet Cindy in the future, because she is one of our trainers, so you might get to meet her, you might get to get some feedback from her. Don't get too nervous. She's actually pretty nice, and I'm sure you can tell that from this little segment that you've seen with her here. And she's going to be appearing very soon on the Rapid Transformational Therapy YouTube channel. So be on the lookout, because she is absolutely amazing on camera, and she's going to be giving you some really great experiences there. So thank you so much, Cindy, for coming on today and sharing your story. So for everybody here, I'm just going to give you one more quick summary of everything that we went through. So when it comes to signing up for RTT and going through the student journey, this is the total everything all included map of what the program looks like and why we've constructed it in such a way to be comprehensive so that you can have the experiences that everyone here has talked about. Matter of fact, I bet you Maximilian, Sarome, Athena, Heidi, this might be the first time you've seen a document like this where it's all on there, because we don't show it very often. It's kind of intimidating unless you know the breakdown of all the different modules. And to you it's all probably relatively simple. Like, you go in, you do the online modules, you click through, you're learning bits and pieces, you're going and you're doing the 4 different virtual classrooms where you're practicing all of the different tools in the process map that we looked at over here. So in the first virtual classroom, you're just doing the beginning. In the second one, you're doing the induction and suggestibility, and then you're just working yourself through the 4 virtual classrooms. Then you've got the tutor group sessions that we referenced earlier, where that's Sarah and her team of tutors that are working with you. And then you've got these little pop-ins with Marisa throughout the journey. And of course, when you first sign up, so for all of you that get started soon, you've got your welcome call team. And there's a really special relationship that you're going to have with that person, that when you first sign up, you're going to get 2 to 4 of those calls with them, depending on how much support that you want. Some people get, you know, they need a little bit more space between those calls, and some people like them sooner. And then, of course, you get to spend time with me working on your business ideation and thinking about how you want to, build your brand. With Maximilian, when he showed up on one of those very first workshops that I did, um, we built this 21-day challenge program for his business that I'm not going to reveal. Maybe he can reveal to you later if you go and hang out with him or get to follow him. And everyone here, Sarome and Heidi and Athena, they've all got their special sauce and the things that they've built. So yes, it is very structured, and you learn all the tools and you go through the process, but you really get to customize it to you, to your personalities, the type of people that you want to work with. So what I'm going to have is, in the chat right now, the team is going to put in a link where you can book a call to get more information about what this would look like for you. So we've got a whole range of programs. Like today, we referenced the live in-person training. We've got the virtual training, but we've also got stepping stones depending on where you are in your journey. I'm not going to tell you which one to do. I'll let you explore with the team. I get to spend so much time with the people that you're going to book those calls with, and they'll walk you through every little aspect of what's the perfect journey for you. Like you've seen here today, it's a little bit different for everybody. Everyone has a different starting point. They've got a different focus, and you're going to really want to talk through the team with that and have that experience with them of figuring out what the journey is going to look like for you. So go in and book a call. If you want to attend any of the live in-person experiences, then we've got different windows that kind of close throughout the year for when you can attend those events. And a lot of those events sell out way ahead of time. Like, as an example, there's 1 spot left for the Los Angeles event of 78 spots total, and that's in June. So if you want to go to one of these live in-person trainings, I would highly suggest booking that call ASAP, to just at least reserve your spot for the in-person as you're exploring what the whole journey is going to look like for you. Sarome, Maximilian, Heidi, Athena, Cindy, did you want to add anything, or did you have any inspirations that you wanted to drop on them, or best practices?
I'd just say go for it. Jump in there, enjoy yourself. Like it's such a journey. It's gonna change your life. It'll be amazing. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's changed my life and it's incredible. It's just an incredible journey and incredible learning about yourself and other people.
Oh,
Hey,
hello.
Marisa!
See you.
Oh, that's so fun.
Hello. You're also lovely. I was watching. Megan loves you so much. She just watches you on screen. So I thought I'd come up and say hi.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi, Marisa.
everybody.
I loved your stories. Each one was so moving and so amazing. I loved Heidi's and Athena's. I loved Maxim talking about his sister and Saroni, and of course Cindy, who's not here, but they were all incredible. Let me kneel on the floor. They were all so nice. So I really enjoyed hearing them and listening to you talk. And it was just so nice that you're all doing RTT so incredibly well, just as well as me, probably better. So yeah, I was proud of all of you. It's amazing. Because I've met Athena and Heidi. I met Saroni as well, of course, and the only person I haven't met you, Maximilian, have I?
Yes, we have. I actually changed my hair color, so you might not recall.
You get dark hair before.
Now I remember you because your hair was, I was thinking, I wouldn't have remembered you, but I didn't know. You had very dark hair before, didn't you?
Yes, exactly. It was more dark.
Did you come to Berlin?
Sorry, no,
Did you
actually,
come?
I met in Tallinn at Mind Valley University, and then I went to Cologne, at Great Town.
Oh, we took our picture together, didn't we, at Mind
Yes,
Valley? I
you did.
remember. And you came to, didn't you come to Greater as well?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We met.
And I got you a guest pass to Greater last year, didn't I?
Yes, you did. That was
I
amazing.
know, I remember you so well because there was all that fuss about getting you in, but it all worked.
Exactly, it was.
I'm going again this year if you want more guest passes, and I'll be in Estonia this year, Heidi, so we can meet too.
Yes.
So yeah, wonderful. Are you still, is it all finished now? Is it still going on?
Yeah, it's still going on.
Well, I better leave you to finish it then.
Sure thing.
Anyway, I thought I'd drop in and say thank you all. And I really don't mind that Cindy didn't play her recording at all. It's all good.
Oh, you heard that? Oh no. Oh no.
Is Cindy still here?
I think she's actually going and doing a trainer's thing.
Is she? Okay. Well, I love you all. I'm proud of all of you. So proud. I'm thrilled that you've got a successful business and the best job in the world, and you're doing well financially, emotionally, and in every way. Love you. Super proud of you. And for all of you thinking of joining, come and be one of us. We always love to say one less of them, one more of us. It's a great family. Come and be part of it. We'd love to have you. See you later. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to tell Cindy I've come to get some shoes out of my cupboard because she likes to wear my shoes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay.
See you later.
Thanks, Marissa. Okay, so let's go here and see if there's any interesting questions. So I've got here the Q&A. Looks like they've all been answered, actually. Does anyone have any questions that you want to ask right now while we're here and available for those of us that are still around? There's different price points. So I would just say if you book the call with the team, they'll kind of walk through where you're at on the journey and then what would be the best program for you and where to start. Lewis, what do you got? The RTC students it's kind of a very different program. So RTT is like a really big community and RTC is a small community that runs together. So it's a cohorted approach. So we only run it every so often and people do it all together in one thing. Is it possible to pay slowly or only two payments? We've got a whole range of payment plan options for people. So when you talk to someone, you can kind of break down what would be ideal for you. But we do all the way up to 12-month payment plans. And then, let's see. Ooh, here's a question for you guys. How long did it take for you to master RTT? I'm going to say, Heidi, why don't you take that one first?
Okay, like I said, it took me some months actually to help my very close family member. as I practiced like. But now I think like Marisa says, there is no bad therapy actually. So actually you don't need to master it in the way it still works. Like you don't need to be afraid of trying it out and practicing it. And I have also done RTC and RTT, and I have done a live course with Marisa and several other courses Marisa does because she has so much actually to learn from. Like I'm just watching her webinars and learning so much every time. So you will get better all the time, but it's just start from where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the second part of the question is, what's your most satisfying moment learning RTT? Did anyone here have like a moment in the course where you had a breakthrough while you were studying?
I'll take that. Even though at the live therapy, I was quite new to it, like I'd only done a limited amount of the modules. Actually seeing someone go into hypnosis, that was really interesting. And just from a very small amount of practice, you can actually start seeing people coming to these awakenings or realizations or like things clicking together. And you actually don't need a lot to take people into that space of mind where they can connect the dots in this really therapeutic way. So yeah, that's really cool when you start seeing that and you start practicing and you're like, wow, I can actually do quite a lot with, only even a limited amount of understanding or knowledge or tools. So it's quite amazing when you see that click into place.
As a tangent off that question, maybe Sarelm, you want to take this one. How would you how would you describe and how do you describe hypnosis to people who maybe don't have any knowledge of it? So it's like, they're like, well, what is this hypnotherapy thing? How do you describe it to them in English? And then we can do Korean after.
Well, I think Marisa covered it during our life, like how to explain it to people, it's not stage hypnosis where like you're made to do, things that you don't want to do, like bark like a dog, kind of thing. But we just go into your subconscious level and you have a full control, but you will get the real answers to questions that we, together ask you kind of. That's how I explain.
Mhm. Yeah, wonderful. Athena, how do you explain hypnosis to someone that hasn't experienced it before?
I actually work with a lot of people who have anxiety, and for people who have anxiety, the thought of going into hypnosis, from like what Sarumi said, you think about what you see on TV and it's very different. So what I describe it as is a state that feels something between meditation and sleep. It's kind of a similar meditative state. But what we don't realize is when we're in that state, we can actually get to this very powerful level of the mind. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And I also say to a lot of people, you have the power to say, I want to stop. And I say that to people because a lot of the time they think that they're out of control and they're not. I kind of try and really emphasize that to people who feel a bit nervous, because it seems to kind of give them the control back in a way, and it makes people feel calmer when they know that.
I love that. Someone asked a question in the chat here that I want to answer. And because I teach the business workshops, I think it's a really fun one to answer. And they said, um, how long did it take you to start earning a quote unquote good income from RTT? And I want to talk about kind of an overview here, and then I can pass it off to everybody else to talk about a little bit with their experiences. But here's an idea. So, as Marissa talks about, if you've seen any of her abundance and money content on YouTube, we talk about these things, but this is a slight abbreviated version of it, which is the number one thing is mindset. So Heidi had this background in business. She's prone to working too much, and she said she like worked way too much in her first year, but did over six figures in her first year, and she only works, 3 days a week and is getting a full-time income relative to other people. But the main thing to understand about income is it's relative. And the main thing is, what are the beliefs, habits, and sort of thermostat of your money mindset of what is good and what does a full-time income mean to you? Can mean 20,000 US dollars a year, or it can mean 20 million US dollars a year. And I have friends in that entire spectrum of people. Some that actually I think 20 million would seem like really low to them. Those are intense people and they're a very different breed. But just to lay that out there. So mindset is the first big one. I can't tell you how many entrepreneur friends I have who have burnt out heavily and they were making a lot of money, but then, ruined their personal relationships and then decided to tone it down a little bit. But I've also seen the opposite where someone got married, had kids, and then started elevating their income earning. So I'm just pointing it out there that the mindset is the most important part of the earning potential of a person. And Maximilian can attest to this because we work on this a lot in those business workshops. In addition to below mindset, I would say is your strategy. And that's really getting clear on what your goals are. Like what does a good income mean? And what does a good lifestyle mean? And why are you doing this in the first place? And how can we fulfill that desire, that goal, that inspiration that would really help you live a beautiful life, like I like to say. So coming up with always improving your mindset. That's probably getting sessions perpetually, working on yourself forever, then coming up with the strategy of what does success look like for you, because it's very different from person to person. And in addition to that, if you come from a background where you've been an entrepreneur or you've made money on a commission basis before, the likelihood of you being successful quickly is very high because you've already got some of those skills. If you've got entrepreneurial skills coming into it, it's going to be very different. Whereas if someone's coming in and maybe they're 18, 19, 20 years old, to be fair, they might have an advantage, but maybe they've never made money on their own, or they haven't had any real jobs, or they don't have that discipline or that structure yet. It might take them longer. It might be an advantage. But so just knowing that, those can be very different from person to person. And then finally, the tactics, which is a lot of what we talk about in the workshops. And we've got different modules and we've got different programs that help people with the tactics of business. But mindset and strategy are far more important in the grand scope of things. So, Athena, do you want to talk about that? Like, what did building a business and when did you feel like you were successful for yourself?
Um, it's been a journey, like it's been, ups and downs and, you know, sometimes at the beginning having to substitute with other work and that's okay. Like it needs to feel safe within your body and within your lifestyle to like shift over. But yeah, it's at a point now where with persistence and continual being out there on social media, doing kind of a consistent strategy that you can get those results that you're after. But yeah, there's always room for growth, which is why
And
those sessions I shall be coming. I think you'll see me a bit more, Skip.
for sure, for sure. And Maximilian, I know we've been working on your business a lot because you're getting it started up in this past few months here. What's it been like for you?
So I think what you've mentioned, mindset, is really a big topic in because it gives you RTT gives you all the tools to be successful, and it gives you the tools to resolve the issues you might have around mindset, also with making money, earning money. Because I think, especially for me in the beginning, it was quite an issue, to find the pricing and to start off. But with working on the mindset, it becomes, yeah, the difference is clear because now I make like a good amount of money with RTT and I charge a price that feels good. And, now I have clients, I say the price and they're like, oh, I'm happily, willingly paying this price, and now I can evolve on this. And that's a great feeling. I build my confidence as I go, And that's really good to have the strategy also to evolve in the future, but to start where I feel comfortable in this moment. And I think that's something like each of us can do. Start with what you feel comfortable now, or stretch it a bit to outside of what's comfortable, and then evolve. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what's working really, really good and well for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Sarome, I know you're just starting your business up and you're just getting registered. Do you want to answer this one? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Maybe. So before I got certified, I still practiced with like my family and friends. And even without finishing the courses, I've always experienced like powerful transformation. So they gave me tremendous confidence, even though I'm not fluent. But I somehow, like, maybe it was because like I was like, doing sessions for people I knew. Like I had this block, from like having to charge people, like asking money for. And so I was just in Korea, try to set up the business there. And I did some sessions, and before that I made my mind that I will not do a free session anymore. Now I'm certified, and so I even charged my mom. So I mean, I have no worry like that I would make what I used to make as a corporate accountant. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Absolutely. Amazing. And Heidi, I'm sure you could go and talk a lot about this, but do you want to share kind of what that journey, I know we talked about that in your main story, but any tips for them on that?
Yes, like for me, it is about working with clients who are my ideal clients. So I love working with women, mostly moms, very much, and about money mindset. So this is my passion, actually, to help moms to get up and get the business going, helping them. So, and also this woo part, because I'm also, like I said, a highly sensitive person, feeling energies and stuff. So I help people to manage their energy so they don't feel drained. So this is what I really do. And I attract clients who do understand that this transformation is huge and they are willing to pay for that. And
Amazing.
I also have like low-end products, like products. So yeah, so like I said, I have online courses and membership and everything, like what is working for me to actually build my business.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And we'll cover that and so much more. And I see lots of different questions here in the chat that we're not going to be able to get to today, but stay in touch. Everybody here is amazing, so I'm sure you can find all of them online, and you can find, you know, uh, all of the different stories that they have and what they share on social and beyond. Thank you so much, Athena and Heidi and Sarome and Maximilian and Cindy, who had to leave for the training, for coming on today and sharing your stories. And I'm sure you can now see you're all so different, but all have these incredible lives that you're building and helping others. So, number one, thank you for coming today. But number two, thank you for doing what you do in the world and for having like such a big heart and deciding to go for it, and helping others because, it's just one of those things. I like to say the best products in the world usually have the worst marketing, and the worst products have the best marketing. And so it's been my mission in life to try to even the playing field. So every time I find something like RTT that's just so incredible and just, rave review after rave review after rave review, I just feel so much responsibility to make sure that the world hears about it and knows about people like you and can work with you and realize that real change can happen really quickly. And Sarom, I'm so excited for you to go into Korea and shake things up because that is so needed over there. And I'm really excited about that. And I hope all of you get to stay in touch as well. We're gonna come up with a name for this little crew. This is great. And thank you all so much for making the time and sharing everything with us. Thank you so much. And I know there's lots of good stuff in the chat coming out for all of you and everyone who's still here. Go ahead and share your love for Cyril, Maximilian, Athena, and Heidi and Cindy who came in earlier, and also to the team supporting Ariel, Saf, and Laura and Marcus, who's been in the chat answering questions like crazy, and anyone else who I didn't see, who I've missed in the background. But thank you to the team putting this on, and Caroline, Georgette, who I see is here, who's also an RTT therapist. Thank you, everybody, for coming on today. Make sure if you have questions, just book a call and talk with the team. Get all your questions answered for your personal situations and what would be ideal for you.
Thank you for having
Amazing.
us.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day, night,
Bye.
evening.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay.